turns out I do actually have a cape, but it's from a 20-year-old Halloween costume, but what the hell goes with the look? Hello guys, I'm John, I'm the Geeky Fanboy, and today I am reviewing the new Dracula miniseries from Stephen Moffat and Mark Gatiss. I chose to review this series because those two men made one of my favorite TV shows ever, namely Sherlock, even though I know there have been problems ever since Series 3 came out, but we don't talk about that. And I do like most of Moffat's work regarding Doctor Who and also Mark Gatiss's work. So naturally, when I found out, oh, there's a new series by them and it's about Dracula, I thought, oh, cool, quite interesting because, I do like vampire movies and shows, and I'm interested in like Dracula and all that. Though I should mention, I'm not like a huge fanboy, or I don't have a huge knowledge about Dracula or Dracula films. So I have read the book. It's been a couple of years. I did not like the book. I should mention that. I thought it was rather boring, but you know, I'm still quite excited whenever like a new adaptation of the book comes out, because I do like Dracula films. Though I should mention, I don't really know any of like those classic Dracula films. So if you're looking for a reviewer who like recognize all the references to like all Christopher Lee Dracula films and all that, I'm not that person. I haven't seen any of those films. I like don't go out of my way to like watch all the Dracula adaptations. I'm just a guy who, you know, is fond of a good vampire film, if you know what I mean. I went into the whole thing being a bit nervous since, as I mentioned, I know what they've done to my beloved Sherlock series on this series 2, and I was a bit scared that they were going to do the whole modernization thing and all that. But you know, let's just talk about it and say that in general, I think there's a lot to like about this series. They don't have that much time, even though all the episodes are 90 minutes long each. But like there are some things in there that get a lot of attention, a lot of detail, especially like the first episode that's basically mostly set in Dracula's castle is absolutely gorgeous and has very good writing. But then towards the end, there are also some things where I was like, okay, that was not established. They should have maybe paid more attention to that. So in that regard, it is let's say a good balance between the stuff you get and the stuff you don't get, and it has all the positive and also negative things regarding, I'm gonna say mostly Moffat's writing, because I tend to recognize his writing style a lot more, which leads me to the fact that it does have the classic Moffat elements to a certain degree, where it is a bit pretentious and a bit smart at times, though it is not as big a problem as it is with Sherlock in later episodes. So it's not like, in your face, look at how smart we're making this TV show. It's not like that, at least, maybe sometimes, but not most of the time. It's not, which is good. And you know, you can see that Moffat has a lot of fun with like writing Dracula as a sort of slightly cocky, but you know, smooth, but also very brutal sort of character. We'll talk about Dracula a bit more in a second as a character. It also has like the typical Moffat thing where it tries to like wow you with like big surprises and big twists and turns. They sometimes work, but they also sometimes really don't. Like, I'm gonna talk about this a bit more in the spoiler part, but let me just say that towards the end of the show, they're doing like a big twist that you are either going to like or you're going to absolutely hate it. I personally didn't like it at all, because I thought this is just like Moffat and Gatiss again trying to be like, oh, and then we have this big cool twist. Did you not you didn't see that one coming. And I just thought, why you didn't need to do this. You just, if you had just kept it to the same level of storytelling that the first 2 episodes are, it would have been fine. Because even though the writing and the style of the show can at times be very, like, silly, straight up ridiculous, and there's a lot of camp in there as well, which you're either going to be fine with, or like me, you're going to be like, okay, let's just move on. But it mostly works for the first 2 episodes, and then episode 3 is like way out there, and you'll just have to see for yourself if you're fine with it or not. Regardless of the writing, the style and the cinematography of the show is brilliant. It has a wonderful gothic horror vibe. I've heard some people say that this is like straight up horrifying and scary and all that. For me, it wasn't like that personally. Maybe it's because I'm like a friend of horror, especially gothic horror and gore and blood. So for me, this is like more of a fun, enjoyable thing to watch rather than something that's scary. But if you're a friend of like a good scary gothic feeling to like a whole production, this show is gonna be for you. Especially like I said, the first episode that's entirely set at Dracula's castle looks absolutely gorgeous. The horror elements are great. They're doing a lot of cool stuff with makeup and a lot of close-up shots where you're like, I didn't feel quite right. And yeah, story-wise, it's fine. Maybe the third episode again, it's just, without spoilers, but the third episode feels so different and you can't really compare it to the first 2 episodes. So let's just say when the show is trying to do like the straight up classic gothic horror from the novel, they're rather good at it. Let's talk about the characters. The show decides to put Dracula as the central character. We do encounter also most of the other famous characters from the novel, but since this isn't like a straight up faithful adaptation, we have some changes regarding some of the characters, like gender switch or stuff like that. There are some characters playing a different role, or different things happening to the characters compared to what happens to them in the book. Also, story-wise, it's not the most faithful thing. Like, it goes with the basics, so to speak, but if you're like looking for a super faithful adaptation of the book, this is like not your series. But also, as far as I know, there have been so many attempts to do like a faithful adaptation of this novel already, so I don't mind there being differences as long as it works. And especially in regards to the character, I think those changes work. I absolutely love the fact that we have Dracula as our main character that we follow throughout the entire show. And the guy who plays Dracula, honestly, class bang. I'm so sorry for mispronouncing that name probably. He's a Danish actor, but I absolutely love this guy. You can see how much fun he's having with the script, and he's very, very good at playing this, very smooth, very elegant, but also very cocky and campy at times, serial killer, basically. And I'm asexual, but as far as I can judge that, he's also quite sexy to a certain degree. And he's very good at this sort of thing a Dracula should have, or at least what you would imagine a Dracula should be like, that he is supposed to be elegant and sort of attractive, and that you recognize that he's sort of dangerous to a certain degree, but you look at him and you're like, I still kind of want to talk to this man. So yeah, the actor is very, very good at that. I had a lot of fun watching him, and I definitely want to check out some of his other work now. Also, in the other characters and the other actors were good. I thought I liked the guy who played Jonathan Harker. I also thought it was quite interesting what they do with his character, because it's something a bit different, though I thought they could have utilized this character a bit more. Same with his fiance Mina. I thought I could have done a bit more with her as well. We have like Agatha, sister Agatha, um, who I thought was interesting, but also slightly annoying. Like, I read that a lot of people really liked her and the actress' performance, and I can see that, but for me, at times, it was a bit too off-putting. Like, it's a bit hard to describe how Sister Agatha is as a character, but she's also sort of like cocky and easygoing and makes like a lot of deadpan or dark humor, that sort of stuff. And the way the actress plays her is, at least to me personally, just sometimes a bit too weird or a bit too off-putting. Where I'm like, okay, her whole shtick is being a bit annoying to me. It's like a bit annoying to me right now. But this is like more of a personal preference. So before I jump into details, because like my big complaints require spoilers, let me just say this isn't a great show, and I'm still kind of struggling with my opinions on this show as a whole, because there are definitely elements I enjoyed. Like I said, the acting, especially from the main guy, is absolutely fantastic. The look of the show is mostly great, and the writing is at times very good, but at times it's also very, very stupid. And you'll just have to see for yourself, I think, especially regarding the ending, which I personally did not like at all. I thought it was too far out there, and there wasn't enough like establishing of certain details that get explained towards the end, and like the whole resolution to the show, like the climax was, for me, not justified, and it didn't feel earned, and it didn't feel explained enough to me. But I think this is still a watchable show, definitely. And I think as a Dracula fan, as far as I can judge that, you are going to enjoy it. You're definitely going to find something interesting here and there. And also, if you like horror, and especially like this gothic horror sort of genre, you're definitely going to have fun with this show. But for me personally, like I don't, I'm okay with the fact I've watched it, but I wouldn't like rewatch it again anytime soon. Okay, and for a couple more details, let's jump into spoilers. So if you haven't seen the series yet or don't want any spoilers, turn the video off now. Okay, yeah, so some of the things that bothered me. Let's talk about that ending. Like, the third episode is entirely set in the 21st century. Like, we finish episode 2 with like this big cliffhanger with Dracula waking up at the beach, and Sister Agatha, now Zoe Van Helsing, is like, oh, what took you so long? And it turns out we are now in the year 2019. We're not in the 19th century anymore. And the moment the second episode like finished, I was like, that was the worst idea they've ever had. Because it is the classic Moffat twist, it is the classic Moffat problem. Like, the Moffat problem is that he is good at setting up stories, he's good at setting up characters, and he's good when he, like, has to do a one-off story, or when he only writes, like, the first episode of a story. But the longer a story continues, the worse it gets with Moffat. We saw this in Sherlock after Series 2. Things started going downhill, and then Series 4 was, well, absolute bollocks, let's be honest. And it's the same with this. I don't know if it's Mark Gatiss or Stephen Moffat who always comes up with this idea of having, like, a big twist. But when they did that, I was like, no, how? At least it took them, 6 episodes for Sherlock to start becoming bad. Now they've done it in 2.5 episodes. That's a new record. Because to me, this entire time skip was completely unnecessary. They were already doing so many things so differently in like the first 2 episodes. If you compare the story of the show to the book, they were already doing so many things so differently. They could have had an entirely different ending or start or whatever to the third episode, to the climax of the classic Dracula story. But no, instead they decided to do like the stupid thing they always do. They decided to do like a big twist and have it set in the 21st century. Which, I don't know, is it like the whole shtick now, since they've done that with Sherlock now, that's the whole shtick that they're doing classic literature in the 21st century? Because if that's what they want to do, they should have just done the whole show in the 21st century. Because to me, it didn't make any sense to have him be in the 21st century now, just for the climax. Which results in the fact that there are interesting or funny elements in the third episode regarding the whole, oh, Dracula has to get used to 2019 technology and society and whatever. But since it's only one episode and we also establishing new characters and, you know, Dracula getting used to this whole new world, they don't have enough time in this last episode to make this interesting or to explain everything. And I just thought that was completely unnecessary. Also because I didn't see the reason for having him be now in the 21st century, apart from, oh look, this is our big surprise twist. Because to me there wasn't any sense or reason for having him be now in the 21st century. They didn't need that. They didn't need that for the story. Like, and all the new characters that were there, they could have just introduced them in the Victorian episodes. Like, you know, just like they are in the book. And they don't even really do that much with the whole 21st century shtick. Sure, we have Dracula like doing stuff on the internet and using Tinder. But, you know, that's it, basically. Also, like, this whole Jonathan Harker Foundation thing, that was completely useless. Like, he gets captured, he gets brought there, and then what? They get some of its blood and then he escapes. Like, what was that for? What was the whole capturing thing for? What was the whole foundation for? Also, why, you know, they try to explain it a bit, like why Jonathan Harker and who set this up with Mina and everything. But, you know, we don't see Mina. That's what I meant with, they should have done a bit more with her. We only see a bit of her in, like, the first episode, and then she runs away. And then we're getting told in the third episode, oh, she, like, set up this foundation, and they're trying to, like, tease a sort of thing that, where does the funding come from, and blah, 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 but they don't really do anything with it. And we have, like, introduction of new characters, like Lucy Westenra, which was completely useless having her there. Honestly, like, I don't know, it just, everything in the third episode felt too rushed and too underdeveloped, especially when they get towards the climax of the whole thing, and they're explaining what can defeat Dracula, and it turns out, you know, all the superstitions of, like, you know, him being scared of the cross, that he can't enter without an invitation, that he's afraid of sunlight, turns out is all false. It's just something that he started to believe because, you know, he is scared of death. Like, he wants to die, but he can't, and all that. And it gets sort of emotional towards the end with Sister Agatha / Zoe, but it doesn't work because they didn't establish any of that stuff well enough. I thought when they came up with this whole, you feel embarrassed about the fact that you can't die, and you can only die when you decide to die, and all that, I was like, when did that become a thing for this character? When did this become like a theme for Dracula or for the series? When did that happen? Like, wasn't zero establishment of that whole thing. So the whole resolution to me, the whole climax felt anticlimactic to me. Like, the whole stuff with Lucy wasn't emotional because we only spent not even 90 minutes with her. And I didn't get why we had to have, like, a whole new Sister Agatha sort of thing. You know, we have Zoe / Agatha and this boy who helped out at the Institute, who's in love with Lucy, completely useless character as well, didn't need him either. And then this whole resolution with, you know, Zoe, like, running and pulling off the curtains and all that, and then the explanation. And then he drinks her blood, and we see them embracing each other while they're dying and all that. So I guess there's sort of also a love story, or I don't know, a sort of attraction between them. I don't know. because they didn't explain any of that stuff, at least not well enough, at least to me. So yeah, this whole third episode, oh my god. Like, I already thought that the first two episodes were a bit silly with the writing at times, but they were still mostly enjoyable, where I would have said, okay, I would like watch a third episode set in, like, you know, the Victorian times and see how the story ends. But no, they decided to do this completely stupid, ridiculous, unnecessary twist towards the end. Because apparently that's what Moffat and Gatiss do nowadays. And I thought, wow, they really lost their bite, didn't they? So yeah, this is my review of the Dracula 2020 miniseries. I enjoyed some of it, but not all of it. I will maybe give it a rewatch in a couple of months just to see if I still like it. Also because I really do enjoy watching the main actor, and you know, if there's going to be another series with Gatiss and Moffat writing it, I know I will check it out, even though I know I will be probably disappointed again to a certain degree. But you know, you have to watch it for yourself to see what you like about it, and if you can get along with the ending better than me. So what did you think of the series? If you have seen it, do tell me down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Do you think this is a good adaptation of the Dracula myth? Do you like the third episode? Do you like the ending? Or am I in the minority in saying this was not a good idea at all? Please do tell me down in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done that already. I hope you enjoyed my little review, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.